Welcome everyone to the Pantheon. I'm your host Ray Skunberg, and this is the third Monday of the month, and I get to review a Razzie-nominated film, Solo. Now, Evie has not seen the movie Serenity. I just saw it. This film is by far nuts. This film, clinically, my clinical exposition of this film is that it's a nuts movie. This movie, you have Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway in this movie. You have Desmond Hansu. You have Jason Clarke. You have really good talented actors who I think put the effort in. Wanted an M. Night movie because there's a twist that comes in the middle of it. I am not going to give away the twist. The opening actually is McConaughey owns a boat. He's a fisherman. He's obsessed with this tuna fish, this giant fish. It's a play on Moby Dick, about the sea captain who's obsessed with this whale. Well, he's obsessed with capturing this big tuna, to the point where he gives a boat guide, or when one of these guys maybe possibly catches the tuna, he pulls a knife on the guy because he's taking away his fish, who's gone for. So like he's obsessed with this fish, and that's the first story. It's about this man on a boat trying to catch this mythical giant fish, and it really is Moby Dick. It's a call to a famous American novel, and it's fine. The second story is what the trailer represents. It is a film noir with a femme fatale and like a Humphrey Bogart, dirty, scrubby looking Matthew McConaughey being manipulated by this femme fatale. And the trailer sets it up. She's in an abusive relationship, and she wants McConaughey's character to kill her husband, and she was willing to pay him. Now the money is nuts too. $10 million to kill your husband. It's a lot of money. I mean, $10 million. I'll start a fire. It's just like that's way too much money for what he has to do. And she says, "I will give you cash. $10 million cash." No one has $10 million in cash. Have you ever tried to carry $10 million in cash? You can't. I mean, that's why no. It's like written. It was written by a child who wrote that line because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't. That form of logic doesn't exist. You can't physically or possess or carry $10 million on an island to give this guy. It's not possible. It defies logic. Okay, so let's forget logic. Let's forget the concept of all things possible. This film defies logic. This film is not even based in logic. It's based in otherworldly concerns. And I'm being mildly truthful when I say that. Now, as the movie carries on, we learn that they have a connection. McConaughey and Anne Hathaway, she is part of his history, so she knows him from before. Okay, and that history connects to the third act, or the third story. Now, the third story is the twist. The twist is, how do I say? The twist comes to you. Okay, so with M. Night, when you get an M. Night movie, the twist comes at the end. You go back to watch the movie again, you will see the threads that kind of weave and ebbs and flows and weaves ins and out and ducks and everything else that sews up to get to the finale. There are sequences in it that kind of tells you where the ending is going to go. And even though it's not clear, you could see how everything is the tapestry is starting to form to get you to where you got to be, where the ending is. At least with M. Night, something is leading to something at the end. This movie has the twist is right in the middle of this movie. And what's worse is that it plays this film serious. Like the whole movie's played serious, which is kind of odd because once you get to this reveal, it should be, in all honesty, comical, but it's not. They play it seriously, and what's worse is, okay, so once the reveal is given to you, and I'll give this one away. McConaughey he's in on this joke. Like he's in on it. Like he's actually aware of the twist, okay, which makes it interesting because not only is he aware of it, he's now processing the twist, and this movie is only halfway done. So, as the rest of the movie progresses, he's actually going along with the movie with the awareness of this twist. And so when you get to the end of this film, which becomes a completely different animal at the end, because let's just say, I don't know if you want to call it the narrator and stuff, gets involved with the movie, and if you think about what it actually represents, it's actually sort of dark, and it's sort of sad and twisted and malevolent, so everything I've said so far is true. The first story is about a fisherman, Matthew McConaughey, who's obsessed with his fish. Second story, it's a film noir with a femme fatale who wants McConaughey to kill her husband, who is abusive to her, and she's willing to pay him $10 million. We do know that that the Anne Hathaway character and him, they have a past. She knows him before he was a fisherman, before anyone else. So she knows him before he ended up being on this island, which was I think 8 to 10 years ago. So they've been or whatever, I guess 8 years, 10 years, something like that. Yeah. So like before he ended up on this island, she knew him years before. So they have a history. And then the twist happens, and that uproots the entire movie because the movie becomes a completely different thing. It becomes self-aware of itself in a very unique way. McConaughey is told what the twist is, and what's funny because there's a guy like an investor, insurance guy, who's trying to catch this guy, trying to catch McConaughey, and always failed. And then when he eventually catches up to him, and there's something he's supposed to reveal to him, it becomes it's something that is like I spy with my little eye, something that is phony, and this movie was it. This movie was top to bottom, not a good movie. In terms of the twist, if it was the femme fatale movie, if it was it would have been good. If it was a secret between his past, it would have been a good movie. The fact that it went this direction, I think, you know what, because it doesn't merit all of the stuff you're seeing. It explains what you're seeing as being part of a tapestry that is not properly, I would say. Okay, so the twist, without revealing it, it tries to re-explain the beginning. It tries to explain what you're really watching with him and the tuna, and it tries to explain what you're really watching with Hathaway's character trying to kill a husband, and it's trying to connect it in a way that it's part of a different story. That story is ludicrous. It's like my review of Oblivion. When I found out what the twist of that movie was, my line was, it's a ludicrous ending with a ludicrous plot. This is no exception. This movie is hands down not right. This movie's not right. I'd recommend seeing it just because if I told it to you and I said to you, you know what, watch this movie not because you want to watch this movie because it had a great potential. Watch the trailer. The trailer itself is amazing. The trailer gives you the middle story, and the middle story is compelling, and they give you that middle story. But then at the halfway mark of this movie, they drop the third part of this story, and that's the twist. And rather than stopping there, they decide to keep on going. So let's say the twist happens at the 40-minute mark. For another 40 more minutes, you're getting this entirely different film. And this film connects with the first two, but on a completely different level. It blows it up. It tells you that it's invalidated because what you're watching isn't what you're really watching. It's completely north. It doesn't make any sense. When it tries to connect the dots, it doesn't. It ends on a tragic note, which is its most dramatic beats, and that's really, really great because when you conceptualize what it is, like the final scene between McConaughey likes to jump off a cliff naked into the water. That's one of the cool things about this movie. So, and I think they digitally cut off remove his private parts so you don't see it, because it would be very, very noticeable in the water. Anyways, so when he's in the water acts as a conduit between us and the character. And the character, like when you watch certain movies, when you're in the water like that, deep in the water, it's more like not again. It's sort of like you're in a solitude environment. It's sort of like what's the word? You're in solitude. It's what's the word? When you're like, what's that word when you're like you're in a meditating state. Sorry. So he jumps into the water. He's completely in the ocean. He's quiet, and he's in a meditative state, right? And he's sort of like reaching out of his. He's sort of like having an outer body experience. And at first you think that's what it is. He's having some sort of meditative outer body experience, and he's making a connection in that outer body experience. And you're not sure what exactly is going on until you get to the halfway mark. He's experiencing is real, and yet it's not real. I'm not saying it's not real. And what it implies in the metaphysics of what really going on is a breakdown of someone's psychosis. If you actually look and think about what is really going on, someone is actually having a complete and utter mental breakdown, and their walls is completely torn down, and this person is lost, and it's a tragic story of somebody, and that is the last the last 8 to 10 minutes of this movie is a very tragic mental breakdown, and they don't portray it that way. They try to. It's weird. It's telling you to smile on something that's, or no, that's not true. They don't tell you to smile, but it's not a. It is an odd film. I would recommend watching this because to tell you what it is, what this twist is, you would say I'm crazy. It's not as bad as The Happening, which is an M. Night movie, but which in itself was a very lazy form of storytelling. This is not lazy. There are some creative decisions being placed here. The scenery, the way it's shot is beautiful. The look of it, going for the noir look of it. And the characters they chose to pick for this, it's interesting choices, and I think everyone really puts effort into the roles. It's just the writing for this twist is really, really hard to swallow, and it's more fun to talk about the twist. It's more fun to talk about this twist than anything else, because it's something I would never, no one, it's something that you wouldn't, why would you do that to a movie? Why would you, the risk of having this twist to a movie, to do it like that, it's so great. But then again, this movie was released in January, where they don't release movies where the production company feels the film wouldn't have a chance in normal as a summer blockbuster. They would have zero chance to find its audience. They dump it out in January in theaters. That's how they used to do things back in the day when movie theaters were open. I mean, theaters are opening now, but like in 2019, where theaters were still open, January 2019, this was the film that was out. It was kind of swept under the carpet for release, and hopefully it'll find its audience. I don't know if it ever found its audience, but those who did see it, it's a movie they will not forget for its incredibly ambitious, for its incredibly out of the box ideas. And if you're okay with that, if you want something that's boldly different, then I'd say no, watch this, because to give this any more credence is injustice, because I would never ever think about this would be like I would never have guessed this. There is no reason for this to even exist, and that's saying something about a movie that you just no clue. So with that, I will say I'm Ray. I hope I enticed you to see this movie, and not to get any. Try to avoid the spoilers. Try not to watch the YouTube videos or any podcast. If you want to see this movie, see this movie. You're gonna see a very attractive, sexy, and rugged, like the Lincoln commercial, like Matthew McConaughey. You're gonna see a very debonair, beautiful Anne Hathaway in a kind of like with the hat and the sunglasses, those big glasses, and the true femme fatale archetype. You're gonna get all that stuff, and you're gonna get more. The more may actually be less, but the more is something to beholden, and it's something that it's worth seeing, because if I tell it to you, you're not. Yeah. If you figured it out, if you can figure this out before it gets to the middle part, that's amazing, because some people figure this out. I would never put the. No, you know what? By 25-minute mark, I kind of figured out what I was watching, but I would never have figured out what this was. And I'm going to tell you right now that this twist is hands down. I have not seen anything since then, and I don't think I ever will. So that says something for a movie to watch. So if I can entice you to watch this movie just for the sake of watching it, go for it. That's my review. In terms